Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday morning, and I just wanted to do a quick video. I was having this discussion with my brother. So Sam, you're welcome. This video is for you. It is all about range and range anxiety. It is real. I agree that it's a real thing. And when you're new to EVs or you haven't had one before, it's very anxiety inducing. It is. It's, when we got an EV, we weren't sure how often we were going to have to charge, where we could charge, how to charge, the whole thing. And so it's new. It's like never having been to a gas station before and not knowing how to pay or how to pump or any of the rest of it. So it's something you've got to learn. The way you drive on a road trip, you've got to do some planning. You've got to figure out where you're going to stop. There's not just an EV charger everywhere, but they are most places. It's not the scariest thing about having an EV. Once you've gotten used to it, the scariest part about having an EV is how addictive they are. When you never have to go to the gas station again, you don't have to go in for oil changes anymore. There's none of the routine maintenance. Your brakes last the life of the vehicle. There is so much to love about EVs, and that was our problem. So once we got over the range anxiety factor with the Mustang Mach-E, and we realized that it's really genuinely a non-issue, we went all in and we got my daughter an EV because they're cheap, used, and it makes sense for a safe, reliable, easy to use car that's cheap to run. So then I felt left out. I wanted an EV because swapping from an EV and back into a gas car is a bit of a jarring experience. So you get in and suddenly there's a transmission that's shifting gears at weird times and your engine's revving and you don't have any power unless you're right in that certain rev band. Then you're like, oh yeah, EVs are really great. And so here I am in the Rivian. So there are downsides to having an EV. Range is one thing. If you plan a trip, it doesn't matter where you're going. People have driven them to the northernmost point in Alaska. People have driven them coast to coast. You can do whatever trip you're about to do in an EV, almost regardless of the range that it has. I have the shortest range Rivian, and it works fantastically for my needs. I really don't need, and I would argue almost nobody actually needs the longer range battery packs. So this is the only LFP chemistry pack right now, and I love that. That's what I want. That's what I find is most useful and beneficial to me. So I tell people all the time, range is a scam. You really don't need longer range than the base model range in pretty much any EV. I'm at Walmart right now. I'm about to pick up some groceries. There are plenty of EV chargers here. The Target close by has plenty of EV chargers. It's getting more and more common. And when you know to look for them, they're at the library, they're at the park, they're all over. Yes, they do get busy sometimes. You can use an app like a Better Route Planner and see if they're busy or not, how many stalls are available. If you've got an adapter, you can use the entire Tesla charging network. Not the entire, but a lot of it, a big chunk of it. But beyond that, they're installing more and more and more EV chargers all over the place. Even when we've stopped at an Airbnb and there's a 110 outlet. If you plug in to a 110 outlet and you're going to be at an Airbnb for a couple days, you're probably walking out of there with a full charge. So even if it's just one night stay and at 110 outlet, you can add a decent chunk of range. So, people get really worked up about it. It's a very touchy point to people, but as the owner of 3 EVs, it genuinely is not the scariest part of owning an EV. Once you get used to it and planning trips and how to plan trips, it's very easy. But even yesterday at the coffee store, I was just grabbing my coffee, and a guy walked up and to the counter, and he was asking, hey, I looked on my app, there's supposed to be some EV chargers here. And there were in the parking lot, kind of behind the store. But he'd never used one. He didn't have the app. He didn't have a better route planner. He didn't have the EVgo app. It was an EVgo station. And he just walked up. There was tap to pay with his credit card, plugged it in, everything worked. It's not a terrifying ordeal. It's just like a gas station. You know, sometimes you pull up to a pump and there's a bag over the handle and that one's out of order. You go to the next one. It's really not scary, I promise. As the owner of 3 EVs, like I said, it's not the scariest part of owning an EV. The scariest part is how addictive they are and how much you're going to love not going to the gas station anymore and the day-to-day convenience. So if you're commuting 90% of the time and you're going to take road trips and tow or go to the cabin on weekends 10% of the time, an EV is right for you. Yes, it will add a slight bit of time to each trip. That's a longer trip. Once you burn through your, initial full charge range, then yes, you're going to have to stop and charge. But for me, from 0 to 40%, I can charge that in about 10 minutes at a fast EV charger. That's most chargers you see around in public are level 3 fast EV chargers. So even if you've got a level 2 charger, you can add significant range. You're out at a park, you plug in, there's a level 2 charger, and it's gonna give you a decent chunk of additional range. So I've looked at the trip because I would like to do it one day without charging at hotels between San Diego and where my parents live in Minnesota. It's 2,000 miles, and it would be about 8 hours of charging to get there all the way. That it may sound significant, but when you think it's like a 36-hour trip to begin with, it's not as significant as you'd think. But the benefit is if you stop at a hotel and charge at a hotel, just find a hotel that has chargers. A lot of them do now. If you stop and charge at a hotel, then you're going to avoid probably half of that. So it's probably going to take you about an extra 4 hours total over the trip if you're waking up with a full charge each morning at a hotel. So even then, 8 hours or even 4 hours may sound significant. You've got to stop to pee. You've got to stop to eat or grab food or snacks. It's pretty rare. Some people do it. I've done it in my young days. I don't do it anymore, but you can drive basically straight through without stopping. You grab a cooler with your food and you only stop for gas and you pee in a bottle. That's going to be, an uncomfortable trip. That's less pleasant for everybody, and you're going to arrive in a miserable state. If you're taking a trip that length and you're going to stop to use a regular bathroom, not pee at the side of the road in a bush or a bottle, and you're going to stop for a meal at least once a day, then that's your charge time. That's when you're going to charge. And if you're driving that way in a gas car or an electric car, you're charging while you're eating or you're stopping. And like I said, 10 minutes can add a decent chunk, a pretty big chunk of electricity, of energy in a short period of time. So if you're stopping for a meal, you're stopping for the bathroom, and you're charging at those points because you've planned your trip pretty well, it's really going to be a wash. You're not going to spend extra time. My brother is a guy who drives straight through from where he lives to a certain location in North Dakota, and it would add an hour for him on that trip, and that's not acceptable to him. That's totally fine. That's each to their own. But for me, I find the benefit of driving an EV every day outweighs those few road trips that I'm actually going to take, which arguably will add a little more hassle or something extra to plan versus a gas vehicle. But the benefits of everyday use are so much better. So I just wanted to put that out there for people who are not sure how charging works, are not sure how often they're going to have to charge or where to charge or any of the rest of it. relax, you're all right, you'll figure it out. It is a learning curve, but you can download a better route planner, input a vehicle that you're interested in looking at, and you can see, hey, if I'm going from this place to this place, where can I charge? Or you can just zoom out on a map and see, oh, look, there's 10 EV chargers around me and I didn't even know. So if you're nervous about buying an EV, especially for your first time, I think first time EV buyers really do, there's an anxiety to overcome. And I completely understand that because we went through the same thing. But once you've lived with an EV for a little while and you've gotten used to using a better route planner is a fantastic app, but there are other apps, and you know where some EV chargers are locally, about how long it takes you to charge, all of the rest of it, how much it costs, then you're going to have a lot more confidence. And again, if you can charge at home, having an EV charger installed or an EVSE installed at home, which is typically a level 2 charger, like my Rivian charger at home, then that's really all you need. You're never going to public charge on a day-to-day basis for 99.9% of people. So just keep that in mind. Range anxiety is real. It shouldn't be, but it is. It's unavoidable. But it's not as bad as you think it is. And genuinely, the scariest part is going to be once you're in an EV and you've gotten used to it and you've driven it for a little bit of time, you're never going to want to go back to a gas vehicle, whether it's a hybrid or a range extended EV or otherwise. So I hope this helps somebody. Again, download the app, check out EV chargers around you if you're looking to buy a vehicle, an EV, and put in different destinations with the vehicle information that you're looking at, and it will tell you, oh, you're going to have to, for that trip, you're going to have to stop here and here, or you can change different stopping points. And it's very helpful, very useful, and hopefully should help overcome the initial range anxiety that many first-time buyers are going to have.